LGBT Youth Scotland work across Dumfries and Galloway to make a difference for LGBT young people. We provide one-to-one support and youth groups. We work with schools, mainstream youth groups, healthcare providers, and many other large and small organisations across the region to help them be more inclusive and accessible. We want to make change happen, changing cultures and attitudes so that Dumfries and Galloway is a safer, more inclusive place for LGBT people to live, work and study.
Dumfries and Galloway is it's off the main track. For people who don't live in cities or near cities, I think it's quite isolated and they can often think that they're the only person like that around, or like no one's hearing their voice, so it's good to bring it out to places like this and let them finally feel a part of something which they might not have previously. Well, I never really got out of the house beforehand. I stayed inside, didn't have a social circle. So when I started coming here, I just it was the one thing to look forward to and get out in the sun or the rain or whatever.
I think I enjoy the ability to make a difference. This centre has made a big difference to me in all of those years, and I just think I enjoy the ability to give that back. I mean, I think it's important to have an LGBT group because we've got a lot of it's a shared culture with shared beliefs and a history that is important not to forget. So I think it's quite important to have that as a reminder, and then we can use that there's always new challenges and difficulties coming in, and it's quite good to use that sense of community to deal with those.
So in a rural setting, LGBT young people, I would probably say, are more isolated. Young people can be isolated generally in this area just because of transport, links to local youth groups that are there, access to services and mainstream events. But with being an LGBTI young person, if there's no visible role models in their own local area, then how do they know they can be safe within there? And again, that's just an additional barrier for them that they'd be facing as a young person anyway. But if they're trying to they've got questions around their own gender, where do they go with that?
The organisation is seen as one of the leading third sector organisations in Dumfries and Galloway, and because of that status and because of that ability to communicate with the statutory agencies at a strategic level, the voice that young people have got has really been enhanced over the years. I think that especially the input in impact assessing our council's policies and procedures, and also in being involved in the council's budget setting. So at a very high level within the council, there's a voice there for LGBT young people, and to ensure that services and the things that we're doing are influenced by the needs of the young people in Dumfries and Galloway.
Last year attending Edinburgh Pride, we took some of our young people, took 5 young people, and 4 of them came from our Phoenix group, 1 came from our Up and Out group, which is the over 18 group, and the 4 from Phoenix group were quite shy and anxious, and some of them had social anxiety and had suffered with depression and poor mental health from time to time. So we were really anxious to go, but wanted to go at the same time just to get that celebratory event, and actually just seeing the difference that being in a really inclusive LGBTI environment for them on the day, and they were shouting louder than anybody else there, high-fiving strangers, and you can feel yourself getting a wee bit emotional because you've saw the journey where they've came in the door, not wanting to make eye contact even with staff, not really engaging in groups very much, and then there they are in the middle of Edinburgh, in the middle of 5,000 people shouting that love is love and just high-fiving strangers. It was just really awesome to see.
And the work that LGBT Scotland does is not just face-to-face, it is online, it is virtual, and it does mean that people can have some sort of security and anonymity when they first contact in very rural settings and very rural areas, and not have to say to their mum and dad, I need a lift, because that's what it means, because there's not always a bus, can I have a lift, where are you going, why are you going there, and immediately there's a barrier there about accessing services.
such a variety of people that sort of come and either need support or sort of just want to be involved or want to be part of something, and I think without that there's so many young people that just wouldn't have the benefit of other people's experiences or seeing what opportunities are available to them, or they wouldn't feel so isolated. It really does bring everybody together, people that would never meet normally, and you know, it's just a place that they can come and feel safe and they can be themselves, which makes such a difference.
I would really strongly recommend the Charter Journey because it gives the school an energy, it gives the school motivation, it changes the ethos and attitudes of not just the pupils but the teachers, the parents, the wider community. I think it's by no means an end journey. There isn't a destination, it doesn't stop and it won't stop when you achieve your charter, but the process that you go through, it's enlightening, it's fun, it engages people you wouldn't necessarily have thought you would have engaged previously, and like any initiatives in schools, it just gives a bit of focus and direction, and it's a really positive experience. So we had a RMPS teacher arrive last August, and he was in the school about 3 months when he was able to come out openly to his class. He was very encouraged by the fact that there was an LGBT charter journey taking place and an established LGBT working group, champion group. He said to me that he felt this was one of the first schools he'd ever been in that openly challenged anyone who would be dismissive or derogatory. He'd been in schools where people knew they should challenge, but they didn't always necessarily do it. And that gave him the comfort to feel like he was accepted and it was right. It was okay for him to be himself.
It's affected my life in areas that are maybe unrelated. Just even being confident enough to I go volunteer now in just a charity shop, but I kind of went there thinking that I'd kind of stay behind the scenes and do everything down there, but I kind of straight away realised that I could start being up shop front, working on the till and kind of dealing with more people, which is something I would have never thought I could do before.